Our talk today is about war, and I think it is very relevant in today's time. So, I will begin by reading a couple of words by Sri Ramesh Balsekar. This is from his book, The Relationship Between I and Me. What is going on in the world? Violence, disasters, hatreds, corruption also goes on in ourselves. In the me center, one is at war with oneself, unhappy, dissatisfied, violent, aggressive, corrupt, lonely, seeking something vague and unknown. We have tried every form of therapy, religious sanctions, and their pursuits. A monastic life, a life of sacrifice, suppression, denial, and yet we seem to be unable to free ourselves from the terrible mess inside ourselves. Is there no way to get out of this confusion? He further says, it may seem far fetched, but it is a fact of life that our problem is one of space. Where there is space, there is silence. Not the space created by thought, but space that has no frontiers at all. Immeasurable space that cannot be conceived by thought. When the human being has space, real space, width and depth not conceived by thought, there can be absolute silence. However, we have no space ecologically, socially, or more important, in our own mind. This is perhaps the reason for the violence. We do not want to hurt anymore. So we withdraw, we resist, we build a sort of wall around ourselves and those we love and like. That means every limited space. It is from this very small, narrow space that the me center function and acts in relation to the other. In that chattering mind, crowded with information, rumors, opinions, fears, there is hardly any space at all. And in that restricted space functions the me center with its horizontal thinking, conceptualizing, objectivizing. What happens is that as a result, there is isolation, division, conflict in all kinds of relationships. The real problem, therefore, for the me center is I want to live a life of delight, pleasure, and beauty, and I also want that which is immeasurable, beyond the fancy of thought. So, what the Master is saying here is that fundamentally, this conceptualization, the me center, is responsible for the self centered activity. Now, yes, we can blame our politicians, our leaders, and we can say this person was wrong for initiating this kind of action, and the other person, initiated another kind of action as a reaction. And the debate goes on endlessly. Some believing one person was right, other believing the other person was right, and there is no solution. Hasn't this happened during the entire history of humankind? With all the spiritual knowledge, all the wisdom of the masters, we still have wars today. But the thing is, we point the finger outwards onto a particular person, onto the system. What we fail to understand is that the system is me. The violence is not out there, the violence is within me. And if you want to know that, just see how you behave with your children, how you behave with your family, what is your relationship with your friends, with your associates. Isn't there violence there? Isn't there division there? Isn't there conflict there? So when you elect a representative to work for you, to solve your problems, you are operating from that place of restlessness. That anxiety, that division is contributing to that election. So as a result, you form a system which is not separate from you. The spark within you is the fire there. If there is division within yourself, there will be division in the system. So you pointing out at the system and claiming that the system is wrong, that the system needs to be fixed, is futile. There isn't going to be any change till you begin with yourself and look inwards. And that is why spiritual masters advocate going inwards. But you see, you won't do that. Why? Because that requires courage. That requires facing oneself. That requires dealing with the violent man that lives inside. And that man is violent. Osho explains this beautifully, that when a child is born unconditioned, pure source, pure energy, does not have concepts, acts and reacts in the moment according to situation. So, happiness one moment, sadness another moment, fight in one moment, making up another moment, and life is just a play for the child. Child does not have strong divisions based on religion, based on casteism, based on creed, based on color, based on class. There is no hierarchy in the child's mind. The hierarchy exists within the adult's mind. The child gets conditioned. Osho says that the child is capable of pure love, but we destroy that love. When you act as an authoritarian in the family, when you decide for the child what is right and wrong, which is your own projection onto the child. So J. Krishnamurti also said in one of his books, Freedom from the Known, that, sir, if you really loved your children, there would be no wars. But the fact is that you do not love your children, you love yourself, a self that is your own image, which is violent, and you love the violence. Therefore, what you are doing at home, physically, psychologically, emotionally, that same thing is being represented on a larger scale in the system outside that you have created. And that system is as hungry as you are. It is as flawed as you are. There is greed there. There is unrest there, because that lives within your own self. And it is just a projection in the form of a system. There is no system. It is all conceptualization. We cannot be even kind to our neighbors. So how can we be kind to other nations? In order to escape our own pain, we unleash on our children's, on our partners, and of course, on other nations. We create divisions. We create boundaries. We want the best for ourselves. Jesus shared, Ramana Maharishi shared, but we are not willing to share. We want to protect our resources. We want to protect our lifestyle. We don't want to compromise on that. Therefore, we create boundaries, we create defenses, we create weapons. It is all for self-protection. And the irony is that we don't even know what that self is that we are trying to protect. The child within us longs for love. But we have just suppressed that child. We have put finger, shh, quiet. But the child is angry. Child wants to unleash. And it does, as we see wars happening. But there is a bigger war that is happening within us. We have been divided in the name of religion. We have been divided in the name of everything, in fact. Our ideological views, our theories, our concepts, our way of living. We are divided society, and that is why we are dysfunctional society. Whenever the masters point us to wholeness, and they tell us to be with ourselves, that is not acceptable to us, because that feels unfamiliar. We want to escape, but through escape nothing happens, but more and more suppression. And a result of that suppression is violence, anger, hatred, resentment, malice, spite. It creates a division between me and the other. So the experts tell us only if we had a better system, only if we knew, only if things were a certain way. We try to fix things externally. Only if we can support this group or this country or this idea, then it would be okay. But you see, nobody is willing to look inwards. You say that people you admired failed you, but deep down you know that it is not them who failed you, but it is you who think that you failed yourself. So you're living with that self-hatred. And the projection is violence, war. Master points to a spaciousness. He says, recognize that space which is not touched by thought, because thought by nature is divisive. Thought is not going to lead you to peace, to harmony, to the compassionate heart. Thought will create more divisions. Any grand idea, brilliant idea, the most fantastic, the most illuminating idea, all of it will fail till you look inside, till you go within and look at that scared child the one that wants to be seen, the one that wants to be heard, the one that wants to express and has not been allowed to. There is no other way, there is no bypassing that child. Beyond that child is the compassionate heart, because the child also is an illusion. But there is no bypassing the child. One has to go through that child. So the only way is turning inwards and letting the seed of purity or love sprout as the compassionate heart. The mind is not going to do it. Mind has tried, reason, analysis, none of it is going to do it. But love alone is going to do it. Love that is not divisive. Love does not distinguish between you and me as a separate entity. Love is the unification. Love is the understanding that behind appearances is all one consciousness. So when there is recognition of that consciousness, how can I be different from you? How can my skin color be different from you? In appearances it will be. But you see, the life force that provides me this color is the same life force that provides you that color. It can be black, it can be brown, it can be any other color. We can be Hindus, we can be Muslims, we can be Christians, and we can still love one another. Why have we destroyed that purity? Why have we suppressed that child? Why are we living in this utopian idea that one day there will be an ideal system? Why aren't we addressing our own internal structures? Why are we not compassionate to ourselves first? Why are we in division? So at some point, one does ask oneself, who am I? Who is this me that is constantly operating from this self-centric place and causing destruction to humanity? This conflict will not end till we go within and see who is there, who am I. Till there is a me, there will be a division. Because when the me comes, also comes the other. But when there is recognition of wholeness or spaciousness, as Master says, a space that is not touched by thought, then there is love, beauty, or what I also call as grace. Grace means end of division. Grace means total acceptance. I wish you all peace.